Okay, Gary, so you've had 20 years at Springboard. Can you tell us how being at Springboard, how that has impacted your life?
Before I answer that question, I just want to say thank you guys for coming. I see this as really special, that we can come into this real intimate little room, that we can continue what we call our fundraiser, even though it's been changed so much by COVID. So I just want to say it's real special being here tonight with all of you, not because of how much money you give, it's about the belief that you have in us. And each one of you hold that. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. My journey on Springboard has been crazy, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't also for Michelle. Michelle's seen my journey and my growing up. Like most of you guys know, I'm a good Christian boy with very straight, narrow sort of ideals. And I came up into Warkworth thinking that I was going to save kids or really help kids. Make a change in their life. I had no idea how to do it. I knew how to milk cows, but I just had something inside my heart. And both Shelley and I, we went through some really interesting days of coming to this decision of what it was like to sell our cows, to come up and follow something that we didn't know what we were going to do, into a place that we didn't even know where it was, working with kids that scared the heck out of me. So that was the start of our journey, and I realised that there was nothing with my Christian faith that was going to make any difference in helping these kids, because I was so far away from what I could relate to. Drugs, drinking, crime, gangs, sexual abuse, you name it. And I was just on my back, just going like, what am I meant to do? So my change has really been, that's influenced me, is I've changed the whole way I view life. I'm not here to change these kids. I'm here to listen and to learn and to show love and to just appreciate them and pick them. That's all I needed to do. I choose you, buddy. No one else might have done that, but I just choose you. Let's go for a journey. Let's go and journey life together. And I've found that approach has changed the way I viewed working with young people. And the result has been phenomenal, not because of the strength or the gifts between Shelley and I, or even our staff for that matter for you. I think it's us as a community believing that, you know what, we can all do something small here to make a change. So this has been the wildest journey of my 20 years, of my little over 50 years, that I can say Springboard has completely changed the way I view, the way I live, and the way I love.
Yeah, well done. So, I mean, you've told me a couple of stories, like when you first started out, how you thought, I'm really making some difference here, and the kids would go, Gary, can we just go, we'll just have a chat, and they'd take you away, but they'd take you away, and while you're away, they're busy dismantling something or setting fire to things or doing whatever. So, I mean, what are some of the real highlights that you've had over the last 20 years that you can remember?
Now, you got to understand, like I say, so different from the way how I was brought up. Probably one of my highlights was, and one of my, what I class as my big breakthroughs, and it was to deal with the police. And I had heard a rumour that our kids had kicked in the Wellsford sports store and they'd stolen all the assault knives. And I go, surely no, not my kids. No, you got the wrong crew. So I picked them all up, and I was coming from Tihana, and I was journeying from Tihana to our little whare up there in Port Albert, and I just pulled the van over, and I just said, what do I do? And I just said, okay guys, it's just you and me and the four walls of this van, and it's going to go no further. But this is the rumour I've heard, that someone's kicked in the door and gone and stolen some assault knives. Nah, not us, bro, not us. So they were doing all that, and I was just just praying, help me here. And I just said, well, I'm not going any further. And I want to tell you that nobody can hear us in this van. So I was calling the big bluff. And I said, it's going to go no further than this. What the heck happened? So I found out who kicked the door in, who got the knives, how many they got right there. And I said, guess what, guys? Now that we know the truth, we got to stand up for the truth. We're going to go and talk to the police. And they did not like that one iota. They thought this was the craziest plan ever. They thought this guy here is not qualified to tell us that anyway. So I managed to say to them, we got to do this. They weren't too keen. But guess who was there when I pulled up to Port Albert Bowling Greens to start the alternative education? the police were there. So he walked into the break room, and I opened the door and let the police in, and I said, we got something to tell you fellas. And these kids shared their story of what they did. And we come up with a plan right there and then, how we're going to get these knives back and how we're going to pay them back. And we paid every knife right back to that day. And it just like, oh my goodness, how did that just happen? And yet the respect of these young people trusting somebody who didn't know what he was doing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but all I was doing is someone's got to stand in the corner of these kids' lives and not point judgment, but actually try to do something about it. So that was a real highlight. And just another real quick one, and I'd have to go back, and it's our whare down here at Snells Beach. We had to raise some money, and most of you probably know the story, some of you might not. But back in the day, this was going back about 2010, we didn't have 2 coins. We were definitely the poor cousin in the job, trying to keep these 10 kids that are on the straight and narrow. Lindsay, who was with me at that stage, we were working out of our own personal homes. We had this tiny little shoebox of an office that we're working out of. And I saw this place for sale. And I just thought, yes, come on, we can do this. I got all excited by myself. No one was with me getting excited. And I turned up to the auction with my bidding card to buy this property, and I still didn't have 10 cents to put towards this new building. And it got passed in, and I got shoved back to my little office, my little shoebox for the next year, and I just felt it on my heart again. Go down and talk to see if this place is available. And he said, funny you come down. I've just put it on Trade Me for leasing or for selling. So whatever goes first is what we'll do. We came up to an agreement, went out to the community. We got $20,000 or $30,000 it was to lease it for the year. We got into that place for 4 years in a row leasing it. We had actually found our whare. We found our place. We found our home. Someone walked through the door and said, here's 20 grand. I'm saying, what? And they said, turn this into a youth centre. Get it, make it do something. We got things donated, had a massive big working bee. And then on our 4th year, the owner said to us he wants to sell. And I said, you can't sell. We're your goodest tenants ever. And he said, we got to sell. So we went through a year of negotiating. And it came down to the point that he wasn't agreeing with the price that I thought we'd agreed to verbally. It was a big conversation. We'd raised $50,000. I don't know if anyone was in the room that was there that night, but that was the night that I started crying. Can you remember that? And I had to say, all I had to say was 590,000 is what we got to raise. And I could not say it. And I was sitting here, the bottom lip was going out. Someone said, don't worry about it, Gary, just get over it. I said, no, I'm going to say this. We got to raise 590,000. I finally got it out, and we raised 50,000 that night. And then we went into a battle to try to find the premises, and it went right down to the last week. And we were going up to a place called Lifeway at that stage. We were going to lease a property. We were going to take the whole shooting box and go up. We only had 5 days left, and we tried to get an agreement, and we couldn't get it. And I just said, look, I just want to tell you my plan B is totally genuine. We're moving in 5 days. We'll pack up. We'll get out. There'll be no one leasing this property. And we had an agreement on the table the next day. And I said, I just need 17 days. Give me 17 days. I need to raise 60 grand. And within the next 17 days, 210,000 come out of our community and own our property. We now got a home that we call Springboard. And it's ongoing to what we do today. That's kind of like another highlight with kids breakthrough, but another breakthrough in believing in what was not possible is now what we see today. And there's many more of these moments to come, but I know that we can journey this together as a community. Kapai.
Well done, yeah.
Kapai.
All right, we'll bring in young Dan. Despite what Gary says, Dan brings all the sex appeal to Springboard, right, mate? Yeah. That's what he said. Yeah, anyway. Okay.
Awesome.
I was waiting to introduce you, mate. Yeah. Bring it, brother.
Oh, awesome. I'll just own it.
What are some of the things that you've learnt in your time at Springboard?
Oh, I think like Gary said, like you come to an organisation like this thinking you're going to change lives. When I first decided I was going to be a teacher, I was driven by an experience I had with a bad teacher at Standard 1. And I just thought, man, if I can be a teacher in a world of a young man that changes the perspective for a young person like me, like not growing up. I used to get hidings from my teacher for not doing my spelling. Just like it was just something that really shook me when I was a young boy, and coming from a solo parent home, there was just these things, and I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to stand in the corner of young people, and hopefully somebody would have a perspective. One young person would have a perspective. Oh, I remember that guy Dan, and he was different, and not because I want to be big in somebody's world, but actually because those memories are lasting and they forge something in a young person's psyche. And I think, you come along to an organisation like Springboard, or I've worked in a youth prison as a teacher, and I've had those kinds of drives. So every time I walk into an environment, and especially in Springboard, you learn. You can't help but learn. You can't help but grow. And I think the environment that we have down there at home base is an environment that not just the young people are growing, but every single staff member would say, man, I've grown as a part of being a part of the team at Springboard. Yeah.
Right. No, that's fantastic. I mean, I've only really known these guys for a few weeks. I've known what Springboard has done for a lot of years in the community, but man, it's just been an absolute privilege for me to hear your stories and to see what you guys do in the community, because we are still a small community up here, but the work that you've done and the impact that you've had is absolutely outstanding. And I just want everyone to give a big round of applause for all the people who work at Springboard. I've met some great people in the last couple of weeks. It's been very inspiring for me, so thanks very much. And I really just want you guys to sort of wrap it up a bit, talking about Fund the Future and how that's all going.
Yeah. We probably preempted that a bit earlier tonight, but again, humbling. I think it was Hannah or Kimmy got a text from a young person really early on, and I think the conversation was, I've done something, and we're like, oh no, what, kind of deal, and it was like, no, I've given because I really wanted to contribute, and I just think, that's a young person who gave $2 to Fund a Future, and I think that's some of the moving parts of what this has been. It's been a risk, a step that we've taken as a team, as an organisation, to go into this different mode, I suppose. But it's just been humbling watching how people have responded, how people back what's going on with Springboard. So that'd probably be my main comment.
I think the other thing too that's been really cool, because you just don't know those knock-on effects by going online. And one of the knock-on effects that has been huge for us at Springboard is it's taken the weight off just a small committee that's organising it. So we'd be at Ascension right now, down there tonight, 160 people doing our thing that we've done for the last 10 years. But because we've now gone online, staff have gone out and run these mini events. So we had Helen, and she did a spring fling. So she went down there and put something on, and we had all our staff getting behind her. And it was really precious to be able to see the staff owning things, doing these little mini events to raise money for this Fund the Future. And Nikki, so she went out, some of you might not know, but she just yesterday did 500 burpees, tried doing 50 of them. She did 500 burpees, 500 press-ups, 500, what are those? Shuttle runs.
Yeah.
And then she did 1,000 sit-ups, which I didn't think was possible for a human to do. But she did that, and shared that with her group, and now she's got other gyms that are doing the same and sharing it with other gyms. I'm going, whoa, this could go viral. It's just people just doing things of helping somebody that needs a hand. And I'm going like, yeah, bring that on.
That's brilliant. I did a sit-up coming from there to here. These guys observed it too, so and even though I couldn't cope with that one. All right, so now Penny's going to say something. I've talked to Penny a lot over the years too, so just
as usual.
Yeah, that's all right.
You
go for it, Penny.
No, I just need to say. So these guys started off, and I was told by one of my counsellors that these guys were starting in Wellsford. Fantastic. And then we decided, through one of the wonderful policemen, that they needed an advisory board. And of course, one of the problems we've got, whether you like it or not in any community, is people get targeted. This is a Christian group helping people. What B did was actually widen that to an advisory board that was not just Christian. It was me as mayor. It was you as Stuart as an advisor, and Dave McLeod and all sorts of people. And we were able to lift this whole thing out of a Christian group that was helping people to a much better, wider group. And that has been the whole thing about this group. Everywhere they have gone, they've done an advisory group. And that has been fantastic for them. So, Gary, fabulous. Thank you. I needed to say that. I know Malcolm said, don't talk about it. Never mind.
Never listen to Malcolm.
I don't. But it's really important because it's lifted it up there to the number of people and young people that they have helped. Great.
That is. Thank you so much, Penny. And thanks, guys. All right, we'll enjoy the rest of the evening and we'll live stream soon.